Yes, welcome to DC Economics. So coherently we are going to talk about the history of economic thought. History of economic thought is the study of development and evolution of economic ideas, theories, and concepts over time. So it is the field of the study that explores the intellectual and the philosophical foundation of economics, tracing on how economic thinking has emerged on the previous time to the current time. What comes to your mind when you hear economic thought? And what is the key difference between now the history of economic thought and the history of economics? So as I told you earlier, the history of economic thought covers on the ancient civilization to the modern era. So the history of economic thought is not economic history. However, now economic history affects economic thought. So economic history actually is a study of the economic aspect of the societies in the past. So the history of economic use resources such as land and labor and capital to address different issues that covered on the past time and how they impact on this current time. So actual what economic history carries is the aspect of the societies. When we talk about the aspect, we talk about the issue of in terms of social, political, economical. So this aspect that we are explaining baseline or comparing with the history of economic thought that covers on how the performance of the economy was done on the previous time and how actually we used to apply it to solve and improve for this current time. So the examination of the past performance of the economics is covered under history of economic thought. So this actual concerns on how people lived, how they live, how they earn, how they spend on that particular time. So let's talk about the key aspects and concern that are covered on history of economic thought. The first concern is intellectual evolution. One of the central concerns is to trace the intellectual progression of economic thought, examining on how ideas about economics has evolved, matured, and sometimes even transformed in response to the changing intellectual, social, and economic context. Another concern in history of economic thought is the key economic thinkers. The history of economic thought focuses on the contribution of the notable figures such as Adam Smith, Karl Marx, John Maynard Keynes, and many others. So these scholars actually contributed with different ideas on different economic thought, and the best of their contribution has enabled even the economy to flourish and to improve day to day up to the current time. So this is actually develops into their writings and theories that help us to understand the impact on economic theories and policies. Another concern under history of economic thought is economics school of thought. You need to understand that different schools of economic thought have emerged over time, including classical economics, neoclassical economics, Keynesian economics, and many other scholars. So understanding the principles and tenets of those schools, actually this is a crucial aspect of the study in the history of economic thought. So history of economic thought helps us to cover on these scholars. We help us to get a easier picture on how the scholars contribute to the economy of the past time and how they impact this current time. Another concern is historical context. Under historical concept, we tend to look on or consider the historical, social, and cultural context in which the economic ideas were developed. So this helps to explain why certain economic theories gain prominence during the specific periods and how they influence the policy and practice. Also, another concern under the history of economic thought is the ideas and debates. The history of economic thought reveals the debates and the controversies that have shaped the economic theory. So this includes debates over the role of the government in the economy, the nature of the value, the causes of the economic crisis, and many others. So these actual debates and different ideas are evolved with different people, with different kind of people since human behavior are different and people think different. So under history of economic thought, we tend to cover those different ideas that brought us to debates. Another concern is the interdisciplinary influences. Economic thought has been influenced by other disciplines such as philosophy, sociology, physiology, and political science. So different scholars have emerged in that current pastime that contribute to the different ideas and the history of economic thought. Another concern is the policy implications. Understanding the history of economic thought provides out insights into how economic theories have influenced policy decision and development of economic institutions. Another concern is also global perspectives, that it takes into account the global and the cross-cultural dimensions of the economic thought, considering on how economic ideas have diffused across borders and influenced economic practice worldwide. So the global perspective is also brought through the interactions on how the economy will operate in the past, how the society behaved in the past and this time. Another concern is contemporary relevance. Finally now, the history of economic thought is concerned with the contemporary relevance of the past ideas. So actually, this contemporary relevance helps us now to assess the rigors of the early economic thinkers and their constrained impact on modern economic theory and policy. So in essence now, the history of economic thought offers a rich tapestry of the ideas, debates, and intellectual development that has shaped or helped us to understand of economics and its role in the society. There are several ways to present the history of economic thought. As I told you, history of economic thought tend to look on the economic performance from the past time to the current time. Now, how can you now address in an easy manner the history of economic thought? We may apply the following approach. The first approach is chronological approach. This method presents the evolution of economic ideas in historical sequence, highlighting the key thinkers and their contribution over time. So when we arrange chronological, this means that we go one scholar after one scholar to present of the ideas and contribution to the history of economic thought. Second is the school of thought, whereby we organize economic thinkers into different schools, such as maybe classical school, neoclassical, Keynesian, and many other schools. So each school represents a distinct set of economic theories and methodologies. But also biographical approach is also another approach we can present the history of economic thought, where we focus on the lines and works of individual economists, exploring their backgrounds, influences, and their impact to the societies or to the economy or to the politics of that past time toward the current time. But also thematic approach is another approach that we examine economic theories and concepts thematical, such as theories of value, the theories of money, or economic development theories. So this method now explores how certain ideas have been developed and debates across different time periods. Also another approach is comparative approach, where we compare and contrast the ideas of different economists or school of thought to analyze now the similarities or the differences and the evolution of economic theories. But also another approach is contextual approach. Now we examine economic ideas within the broader historical, social, and political context to understand on how external factors influence the development of economic thought. So under global perspective, as I told you, we explore the economic thought from a global viewpoint, considering how economic ideas have evolved in different regions and cultures around the world. Economic history asks economic questions that may they be about the demand and supply of goods and services, about the cost of production, level of income, the distribution of wealth, volume and direction of investment, or other structures of overseas trade. So this it is inevitably now dense with the large numbers with aggregates. So a study of economic history is important because the historical economic phenomena to be examined in any given period have no existence, and dependent of the social, political, cultural regions and the physical environment in which they occurred. Not only that, the economic process that evolves in any societies is complex matrix of individuals. So organizations, rules, as well as relationships. So this matrix is a product of perceptions, values, beliefs, knowledge, and technology. So the economic process is embedded in societies and it is related to all aspects of the culture. So an understanding of the economic systems and economic theories requires awareness of the social, historical, philosophical context in which they were developed. So it is possible now to train individual economics to apply a given economic tools in solving a particular economic phenomena. So maybe we apply the tools to solve the issue of benefit cost analysis without understanding the historical and philosophical context of the tools. So it is also possible to train an individual to fire and clean a firearm without considering the context of its alternative uses. So this is actually the difference between the training and education, and between the knowledge and the wisdom. Both, of course, are needed. So sometimes it may be difficult to address a given issue of economic concept without understanding, having knowledge about the economics. Or we may address a certain issue of economics without knowing the issue of it. Why studying issue of economic thought? Studying the issue of economic thought is very valuable for several reasons. The first reason is understanding economic growth concepts. It provides a foundation to understand different economic concepts that are sometimes difficult to understand, as someone needs a background to knowing what economies was moving from the original point to the current point. Critical thinking, studying the issue of economic thought at debates and disagreements among economists has actually brought to the issue of economic thought that encourage critical thinking. But also intellectual heritage. Now, it allows economics to understand the intellectual heritage by knowing the roots of economic theories, and economics now can appreciate the evolution of the disciplines and impact on societies, but also avoiding past mistakes. History of economic thought can serve as a guide helping societies to avoid repeating past economic mistakes, understanding the consequences of a certain economic policies in the past, and this can now prevent similar errors that may occur in the future. But also the cultural and social context is also the benefit of history of economic thought. Economic ideas are shaped by the cultural and social context of their time. So studying the history of economic thought provides a window to a society, norms and values that is influenced the economic theories, and enriching our understanding of history and the culture, together with culture as well. But also the interdisciplinary connections. Interdisciplinary connection, economic thought as connection with values other disciplines such as philosophy, politics, sociology. So studying the history of economic thought fosters interdisciplinary perceptions, encourage more holistic understanding of the human behavior in societies, but also professional development for economists and students for economics to understand the history of economic development of their field. That is very crucial for professional development. So to provide now the broader perspective of understanding of the issues that are concerned in the field. So in summary now, the study the issue of economic thought is essential for a well-rounded understanding of economics, promoting critical thinking, guiding policy discussions, and enriching one's knowledge of the cultural and social context in which the economic theories emerged. Economics in the philosophy of science. Economics actually is based on how we utilize, or we actually utilize properly the scarce resources without wastage to meet the required needs. So economics is distinguished from other sciences by their methodology. So it is about explaining now what you see, and people are rational. This means that everyone is fighting to maximize profit, to maximize the high output. So economics in the philosophy of science, has got 5 stages. We have the first stage, that is logical positivism. We have also the second, that is the falsification, and we have the third, that is the problem of falsificationism. But also we have the fourth, that is Kahan paragism. But we have also the sixth, known as anomalies. So let's talk about the first stage, that is logical positivism. So under logical positivism, under this stage, the first stage, that is logical positivism, we tend to address that the logical positivism is also known as logical imperialism. So it emphasizes the importance of empirical evidence and the logical analysis in verifying the validity of scientific statement. So this approach advocates for the verification principle, stating that meaningful statement must be empirical verifiable. So in the philosophy of economics, this stage could be associated with the efforts to establish economic theories on empirical, observable, and logical sound foundations. So actual logical positivism is a form of positivism that is developed by members of the Viennas, which consider that the only meaningful philosophical problems are those which can be solved by logical analysis. So second is falsification. So falsification introduced by philosopher Karl Popper suggests that scientific theories should be formulated in a way that allows for the possibility of being proven false. So if a theory is not falsifiable, it lacks empirical context and is considered unscientific. So in the philosophy of economics, this stage is actually taken considered in one way or another. So under falsification, this is actual something that is considered in a proper way under Kahan, under use of economic thought. Kahan paralogism is a model or pattern for something that may be copied. So an example of paralogism is evolution. So Thomas Kahn's concept of scientific paralogism refers to the dominant theories, methodologies, and shared benefits within a scientific community during a specific period of time. So paralogism shifts occur when anomalies and inconsistencies accumulate within the existing paralogism that lead to a scientific impact on the given way. So under one paralogism, we tend actually to establish that we tend to look on the methodology that approach that is epistemology to conduct the research. So in paralogism, this is the way we organize and consider and sense of information. So philosopher Thomas Kahn suggests that a paralogism includes the practice that defines scientific discipline at a certain point in time. So paralogism contains all the distinct established pattern theories, that common methods and standards that allow us to recognize an experimental result as belonging to the field or not. So in the philosophy of economics, these stages highlight the evolution of changes in economics, such as the shift from the classical to neoclassical economics that is driven by the given system. Let's talk about the last stage, that is problem of falsificationism. This refers to the challenges and the criticism faced by the philosophy of science, particularly the concept of falsibilities that is proposed by the philosopher Karl Popper. So falsibility suggests that for a theory to be considered scientific, there must be a potential observations or experiment that could either testify it. So the problem arises when it is pointed out that scientific theories, especially in social science like economics, cannot be easily falsified due to various complexities such as multitude of the variables, contextual factors, and the inabilities to isolate the specific elements for testing. But also, let's talk about anomalies. This could be the final now stages. That anomalies in the context of scientific research, these are observations or experimental results that do not align with existing theories or expectations. So what is actual concerning under anomalies is that anomalies is something that deviates from what is standard or normal or expected. So anomalies in economics is when the actual results under a given set of assumptions is different from the expected results predicted by the model. So an anomaly provides evidence that a given assumptions or model does not hold up in a practice. So these studies provide a framework for understanding the evolution of scientific reasons and the philosophies of economics, show the case in the iterative process that of the theory that formulates the test and the vision within the discipline. So that's marked the end. Welcome to DC Economics. Don't forget to subscribe and watch on other videos. Bye bye.